Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerJoob, and welcome back to our special Five Nights at Freddy's and Puppy Playtime character concept series. So the character we're looking into is the Boxy Boo Animatronic. So we'll go into his location, gameplay mechanics, backstory and all that good stuff as well. As always, everything I say in these videos isn't linked to the overall universe and lore of Fnaf. This is just a fun concept character we get to make and we hope you enjoy. And lastly, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerJoob as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you up to date with the videos that we post. Also do be sure to leave a like on this video as it lets us know you're enjoying these videos and we should be making more. Alrighty everyone, well let's get into the character concept of the Boxy Boo Animatronic. So previously in our Five Nights at Freddy's character concept series, we've taken a look into Poppy's Pizzeria. A special pizzeria that was themed after all the toys at Playtime Co. So far we've seen the animatronic versions of Huggy Wuggy and Mummy Longlegs. Both of these characters have turned into twisted versions of themselves and have attempted to harm the Night Guard. Our new Night Guard has done his best to survive both of these characters, but now they come up against a brand new character and a brand new threat. So the next character that we're introducing is Boxy Boo. Boxy Boo is of course designed after his toy counterpart. There were quite a few changes to his animatronic version. Instead of springs for arms and legs, he was given tightly coiled metal limbs that would work in the same springy way. He had the special ability to be able to fold up and revert back into his box form. And then he would spring back out and surprise all the guests. Boxy was also given the classic rounded Fazbear teeth so he could appear much more friendly looking towards the children. But it wasn't just the children who could potentially be afraid of Boxy Boo. Chris the Night Guard has always had a fear of Jack-in-the-Boxes ever since he was little. Something about them abruptly popping out of their box always frightened Chris. So this being the case, he would mainly avoid Boxy when he could. But now let's get into Boxy's role at the pizzeria. So Boxy didn't actually perform up on stage with Huggy and Mummy. Instead, he had a different role at the pizzeria, and that role was the birthday surprise performer. So whenever it was a guest's birthday, Boxy would stand at their table and revert back into their box form. The birthday guest would turn his crank and wait for him to jump out and give them a surprise. Sometimes it could take long, sometimes it could be short. It was all a part of the surprise and you never knew when he was going to jump out. But when he would jump out, it would be a surprise for all the kids as they would cheer and laugh. But the only one who wasn't laughing was Chris. He just couldn't put his finger on it, but for some reason he didn't trust Boxy Boo. It's not like he's done anything bad before, but Chris just couldn't help but feel like something was off. Maybe it was his fear of Jack-in-the-Boxes from an early childhood, or maybe it was something else. But unfortunately, in the near future, Chris's suspicions will be proven to be correct. Now let's get into the incident surrounding Boxy Boo. So randomly one day, Boxy reverted back into his box form. But he never popped out again. No matter how much the workers tried to open him up, he wouldn't budge. As the days went by, the pizzeria decided to call in a repair worker. Maybe there was something wrong with Boxy's internal workings. Regardless, they needed to open him up and see what was wrong. So the repair worker came in after hours to check out what was wrong with Boxy. As they tinkered away, they realised that his release spring was faulty. So they swapped it out and attempted to open Boxy. They turned the crank a few times and nothing happened. Maybe there was something still wrong. They go to turn the crank once again and all of a sudden, Boxy bursts out of his box and in a panic, he chomped down on the repair worker's body. Boxy hasn't seen the light of day in some time now, and as soon as he escaped his box, he freaked out. The only thing was, Boxy wouldn't let go of the worker. The worker struggled, but there was no getting Boxy to open his jaws. It seemed like the worker would be stuck there until the next day. When the next day eventually arrived, the workers pried open Boxy's jaw and freed the repair worker. But this wasn't easy to do. They had to dismantle Boxy quickly and get to his internal system override. This meant quickly breaking into Boxy's body and tearing his legs off. Also, in order to get to his jaw mechanism, they had to strip all the material off his face. The workers did a pretty rushed job of taking apart Boxy. When a human life is on the line, they need to act quickly. But this wasn't because Fazbear Entertainment actually cared for the workers' well-being. The greedy company just couldn't have another lawsuit on their hands. So the end result left Boxy looking pretty withered. He couldn't even walk. The withered Boxy had to crawl wherever he went. Also, without his eyes, he couldn't really see well. All he was left with was his infrared lenses. With these lenses exposed, the light was far too intense for him. He could hardly make out what was in front of him. And the only thing he wanted was to get back at that repair worker. If it wasn't for him, Boxy wouldn't be in this state right now. It wasn't Boxy's fault that he clamped down on his body. The repair worker shouldn't have been there in the first place. But now all Boxy wants to do is finish them off. And unfortunately, with their impaired vision, Boxy mistook Chris for the repair worker. Now Boxy will stop at nothing to hunt down who he thinks is the troublesome worker. So now let's get into the gameplay segment of the video. As always, the gameplay loop is based on the classic Fnaf formula of observation and management. So Boxy's starting position would always be in the repair room. He would wait patiently for the right time to strike. His movement can be any time between midnight and 4 AM. So the player would need to keep an eye out for Boxy Boo. He would approach from the right hand doorway. Whenever the player sees Boxy, they would need to shut the door immediately. Sometimes Boxy will be hiding in the dark and all the player can see is his glowing red eyes. There will be some instances where Boxy will already be halfway inside the office. When this happens, the door won't close correctly due to Boxy being in the way. So the player needs to use their flashlight to blind Boxy's infrared lenses and send them back through the door. The bright light would temporarily fry Boxy's vision, and it would be impossible to see where he was. So he would wander off and return when his vision came back to him. But the player needs to keep up with all these attempts to enter the office, because if they don't, they'll be greeted with a classic Fnaf / Poppy Playtime jump scare. So I think the inclusion of Boxy Boo in Poppy's Pizzeria would be great. Although he is technically a part of the Project Playtime roster of characters, I still think he would fit perfectly. His appearance as well is definitely frightening, and there's something extra creepy about an animatronic crawling around on the ground. But Boxy Boo is certainly not the last character that our night guard has to face. But who will be next? We'll just have to wait and see. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing. It helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. As always, let me know what you thought of Boxy Boo in the comment section down below, and let me know what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty everyone, well to the next video, catch you later, bye.